jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane, I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. All of a sudden, I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your reflections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. Jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane, I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. All of a sudden, I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory. I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Yeah, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And we are his portion and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. And so heaven meets earth like a sloppy wet kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these regrets while I think about the way he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. This is love, it is love, yeah, it's love, this is love. Will you be my bride tonight? I'll love you my life. Will you be my bride tonight? I'll love you for all of my life.
Aloha. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're wrapping up the testimony of the great love story between Pastor Jacob and Patty Chung. There are a lot of takeaways from the last two testimonies, and you'll hear more gems today from Pastor Jacob. One of the things so far, I hope that you've gotten, was that they did one major thing correct. Before they met, before they even said, I do, they were already established with their first love, which was their love for the Lord and his love for them. So you'll see that the analogy that Paul talks about in the book of Ephesians mirrors what we're talking about today with Patty and Jacob. So Ephesians 5 from 21 to 33, it talks about the wives submitting to their husbands. It says, wives, submit to your husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. So there's an order. It sounds easy to say that, yes, I'm going to submit to my husband. It's a different story to really do that. But the husbands have a heavier burden. They have a heavier commitment in this covenant because the Bible says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave his life, gave his very self for her. So your role as a husband, of course, you get the benefit of great food, good wife, beautiful children. Your role in the marriage is truly your big sacrifice. Primary role is to give your life up for your wife. And that's a harder thing to think about, unless, of course, God is in your marriage. So you'll hear from Pastor Jacob's testimony today. I wanted him to share about what he saw in his parents. Sometimes there's a role reversal. When I say that you come into the marriage, the best gift that you can give is to be emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy. Sometimes in a marriage, those things are not in balance. And so it's a great testimony today to hear about what Jacob learned by the example of his parents. So enjoy. I'll see you after.
My dad, he was a very strong man, Hawaiian. He worked he was a supervisor in a plant in Gaspro, and he was also active. So he was the sole provider. He was active. He was diving, and he was making more money diving. I mean, I'm talking about, because he used to pick up black coral. He used to catch fish, take it to the market, and he made more money doing that on 2 days on the weekend than he did on his job. Mm-hmm. So he was the sole provider. Mm-hmm. And my mom was she was our disciplinarian. She was the one that would correct us, and I mean, when she never spared the rod, the Bible says, spare the rod, lose the child. She never spared that, but she had the belt. She never had a rod. She had the belt. And boy, that spoke a lot to us, boy. That kept us in line. Mm-hmm. So as time went on, my mom was, she had my brother, he was the last. And that was number 6. She was 33 or 34 years old. Mm-hmm. And my dad was the same age. And he suffered an accident. It's called the bends. That's what you get when you dive in deep water and you come up too fast. And actually, when he came up, that was an accident because of somebody that, that was a story in itself where somebody he thought was in trouble, he stayed and looking for him, and he knew he had to go up to decompress, but he thought something was wrong, so he was looking for that person. When he found that he was all right, he didn't have air already, so he went straight up on a boat, and that was it. That was his life. So he never, from that point on, when he was 34 years old, he became paralyzed, and it was from the neck down. He couldn't. The only thing he could do, he couldn't move his arms or his legs. And as time went by, it went down towards his waist, so he could move his arms.
Mhm.
So my mom became the caregiver.
Mhm.
And I think, like Pastor Jocelyn, to answer your question, my mom, she stayed with my dad. That, like through sickness and in health, till death do you part. My mom did that and she showed that to us, because man, the love that she had for my dad. I remember when my dad first got ill and he was in a hospital, my mom went there every night, never missed, every night, 7 days a week. And she would go during the day when we were in school, she was there.
Mhm.
And then she would come home when we're coming home from school, and she'll cook for us, make sure everything was, and then, make sure we were all right, everybody bathed, and then she would go back to the hospital and come home. She did that for a whole year. That's how long my dad was in the hospital. So
Mhm.
I think from seeing that, that instilled in me, wow, look at my mom, how much, like she's taking care of my dad, but yet she loves us.
Mhm.
And she, it just showed me what love is, like how she loved my dad, and how she honored my dad, and loved us. I think that has a lot of impact on me.
Well, it's very easy to when you're giving the vows to each other in marriage to say, that you'll be with them, rich or poor, sickness and in health, till death do us part. And the true love really comes out when you see a caregiving spouse,
Yes.
one to the other. They truly become maybe the hands and the feet for the other person. So how did that impact you, that your mom was that person?
Well, Pastor Jocelyn, when my mom passed, she was 79 years old. She was the carrier. We didn't realize what she was doing. So when my dad wouldn't allow my sisters, it was only my brothers and I, to take care of him. And I didn't realize all that my mom was doing,
Mhm.
because my dad couldn't get up to go to the restroom.
Mhm.
He couldn't go shower.
Mhm.
I mean, we had to change. He had a catheter.
Mhm.
We had to put diapers on him. And when I started seeing all that, I'm like, wow, my mom did this for over 50 years of her life,
Mhm.
practically.
Mhm.
And she never complained. She never complained or asked for help from us.
Mhm.
She just did what she had to do. And 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 when we started taking care of my dad, and I did mention this, that when my dad was sick at one point, and remember, he couldn't go to the restroom, so he would have the runs, he would mess himself. So my brothers and I, and whoever was caring for him on that day. So some days I would care for him. I change him, I change his bedding, and as soon as I do all that, and then it happens again, and now I gotta go change all that, and I'm like, I'm frustrated, right? And I have to go in another room, and I have to just cry out to the Lord, because I didn't realize my mom was doing that for us, for him. And it was so difficult, Pastor Jocelyn, just to do that. And wow, and my mom did that all these years,
Mhm.
and she never complained.
Mhm.
So that's what when I seen that, I was like, look at my mom. Look how she was. So I know she's up there. I know she's
And
in
they're
heaven.
dancing.
And she's dancing.
They're
But
dancing because she's a
yes,
dancer.
yeah,
Yeah. So actually, you witnessed in your life, although we don't know it when we're young, but you witnessed true love is when you actually lay your life down for someone else, right?
yes,
True love.
yes.
So I think that was good foundational thing for you. You probably didn't realize how that's going to impact you in the future, but I'm telling you that foundational. You were also the one that led both parents to the Lord, correct?
Yes. So eventually, when I got saved, right, and I started going, and then eventually my like I started, they started seeing my life. It wasn't real, it wasn't quick. I mean, it took a few years, but after a while, I would invite them, come, like, and I was like, nah. And then after a while, they'll be like, okay. So they came, so I brought them and they got saved. So yeah, and then I started having Bible studies with them. So
That you were, and actually,
yeah,
no one really knows this, but at the time that you were ministering to your family, taking care of your children, very focused on your getting your life in alignment with God. God was filling you. And we talked about the season where you had a hard time, and that's what brought you to the Lord, and as a single parent to
yes.
your children. So you'll speak to many today if you're able to share. What I want to ask you is, did you take any of that pain or hurt or whatever that happened in your first relationship, made you become a single parent? How did you deal with that? Or did you deal with that before marrying Patty?
Yeah, well, Pastor Johnson, before I go into that part, and I'm going to hold on to that, but my children, they were very young anyway, so they were living with me now, and I was caring for them,
Mhm.
and I remember we were moving churches at one point. I was a very young Christian,
Mhm.
and like everybody, they called for a fast, a 24-hour fast, and we had like all the leaders of the church, and we were called House of Prayer at the time,
Mhm.
and we were going, like we were looking for a place because the school was going to close.
Mhm.
So I said, yeah, I'm going to come. So I brought my children. I made sure they ate, showered, and I laid them in the parlor of
Yeah.
Pastor Francis' house, and we were on the other side praying. And as we were praying, it was so powerful because, man, it's the first time I'm hearing all these leaders, they're prophesying, they're doing this. And I'm like, wow, everybody's got, like, all these people got a word, like, oh man, it's good. And it was going around like this. I was thinking, okay, my turn coming up. I'm gonna get something. And at the end, when it passed, it was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Now my turn didn't come yet. So I'm waiting until I fell asleep because it was 24 hours, right? And then they started, I fell asleep over there sitting on my chair. But then, like when I woke up, because they was gonna break the fast, and I was like, oh wow, wait, I never have my chance yet. Like, so it kind of bothered me, so I got my children up, you know, my son was playing football at the time. So I was gonna take him to go practice, but I said, you know what, if I'm gonna take him practice, I cannot sleep. So, or I won't wake up to pick him up. So, I took them breakfast, and all the time when they were eating, I didn't even eat because you know what? It was bothering me that I didn't get a word. So I was like thinking to myself, okay, Lord, how come I didn't get a word? So it's just working in my mind like this, right? So, like, okay, I feed them, I take them home, I tell my son, get all this stuff ready. I take him to practice. Now I'm going to Alawana and I'm going to go swim. That's going to keep me up, right? So, and I used to do that. I used to swim from one end to another just to keep myself in shape. So, so I'm jumping in the water, right? And normally when I swim, I always concentrate. I concentrate on the muscles I'm working. So like if I'm working on the sides, I'll constantly focus on that. Then I'll try focus on another muscle. Okay, now I'm gonna work on that muscle. So when I'm swimming, that's how I swim. I think of all the areas that I'm working. But this time I wasn't doing that. My mind was just thinking like, okay, I'm swimming now. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Lord, how come you never answer me? How come you never give me something? Am I doing something wrong? That's how I was talking to him in my mind as I'm swimming. And I was about I was down the last lifeguard standard. I start from the beginning by Magic Island side. So I'm just about that far down. Then all of a sudden, a loud voice came to. Now I got my earplugs on now. I got my goggles on, and I hear, they're right in front of you. And I'm like, oh, I stopped and I said, hey, who said that? It was, and then you know, and I was thinking, okay, who said that? I'm looking around. Then then he puts my son and daughter right in front of me. He gave me a vision of them. And he says, your job is to lead them to me. And I was like, oh, the Lord spoke to me. I was all excited. I was yelling in the ocean. I was yelling, hey, the Lord spoke to me. Yeah. Nobody's around me, right? So now I didn't even finish off the course. I'm going back already. All right, he spoke. And I'm just going. I'm just hustling, getting like, all right, he spoke to me. I was just so excited. But, that was the first time he spoke to me. And I heard him so clearly. And, it sounded like thunder. That's how it sounded. His voice sounded like thunder. Wow. So, yeah. So, what was the question? I'm sorry, Pastor Johnson. I'm sorry, I led you off.
No, listen. So that was the first time he spoke to you. The second time that you got it? Okay.
So did I bring it in my marriage? Well, okay. So anyway, as the years went by, maybe I could have done it differently, but I brought the children to the Lord. My son, when he graduated from high school, because he was living under my roof, he had to follow what I was, like force feeding him the word. I like to say that because like at one point he was getting like, oh, Dad, I don't like go to church today. And I looked at him, I said, son, whose roof are you living under? Yours. Put your clothes on, let's go. We're gonna go. That's how I was, dictator. But if I could have changed that, I would have done it differently. But anyway, so then my son went, and then my daughter, she made 18 years old. So one day I was driving, and I said, okay, Lord, my daughter is 18 years old. Now I'm ready. My responsibilities is over, right? Now I'm ready to meet the woman that you have for me. And the Lord told me, you're not ready for the person I have for you. And I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. It's been over 10 years and you're saying I'm not ready for the woman that you have for me? And I said, wow, what do I have to do? Then he told me, you have to offer your body as a living sacrifice. I was thinking, okay, wait a minute. How am I going to do that? And he says, by the renewing of your mind. And I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. And then that scripture came to me, it says, don't conform to the patterns of this world any longer, but be renewed by but be transformed and renewed by your mind or something like that. Then you will know what my will is, my good, pleasing, and perfect will. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I guess I'll never get this. I'll never get this right. That's going to take a lot. So I guess, my daughter was 18 at the time, but, it took 3 years before Patty came. And, in that time, the Lord was dealing with me. And, stuff that I had towards, like trusting women, maybe I'd like to say that. I don't know if that's a good thing to say.
Okay.
All that was taken out of me already. It was like the Lord was purging all of that out of me. So I think, like maybe anger, like he was taking all that out of me. So yeah, I didn't bring it into my marriage to get to your point. I know that's a long way to get to your point, but I didn't bring it into my marriage because, I just know that for a fact. I don't have anything that I bring to her about. I don't bring anything about that. It's like over. That's that part of my life. Now this is this part.
So I don't want to say it for you because it's very powerful when you say it. So you had to take an action. You had to do something to close the door so that you can be ready for the next door to open. So you did that. And since it's your testimony, I'm not going to say it. You're going to say it.
Okay, like when I met Patty, I knew she was the one. And just like like I had to, because for myself, back then in my previous marriage, I wasn't the right person. I was okay. I don't think I'm going to say that, but I wasn't the person that I should have been, and I know that I had to make it right. So I called my ex-wife and I apologized to her and just let her know that I'm sorry for the way I've carried myself in our marriage, and to please forgive me. And she said, "Oh yeah," So I had to close that door.
Yes, it's major. If not,
Yeah.
if that door is open, you just take it right
Yes.
into your next relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
So after that was done, and in the period of time that it was done, you didn't know that the Lord was working on all those things in your heart, in your mind, the trust issues, the residual anger. So he was purging all of that from you because you stayed in the body of Christ, and
Amen.
you stayed with the Lord, and he trained your hearing. So that's a very powerful thing. So now when you go into your marriage with Patty, this is a really good, we discussed this before, so it was really a great flowing conversation about where I'm taking Jacob right now. So I asked him about how does a man handle or deal with confrontation, because in the marriage, the most important ingredient in a marriage, truly, is not what you think it is. It's the ability to communicate. If communication breaks down, all the other things fall down. But this communication is the key. So when somebody gets angry or they say something, the other one shuts down. Well, when I spoke with Jacob, he really gave some really good counsel, godly wisdom about how he handles that communication with his wife. When it's tense, when it's good, when it's not so good, he is mindful of how to treat his wife. So this is the good part, Jacob. You get to talk to the men and the women, the singles and the marrieds. So give me a testimony of how you did that, just as you shared with me, because it's powerful.
Yeah. So, my wife, she's so easy to love, and there, I'm not saying that we don't have conflicts, because yes, we do. I was sharing with Pastor Jocelyn earlier that I'm a type of guy that I'll shut my mouth and I'll be like an ice box. I'll be just like cold and just like not even say anything. And Patty's the opposite. She likes to communicate. So she's actually the initiator. Every time when like when we have a disagreement and I go into that shell, so to speak, she'll be the one that will come and knock on the shell, tuck, 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 and like, what's going on over there? Literally, that's what she'll do. And then eventually it's like, okay, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to talk to her eventually. So then we'll start, like I'll bring it out, and then she'll talk, and we'll start ironing it out, And I did mention to Pastor Johnson that I have to let it go. I have to make things right, because we were talking earlier that we don't want to give the devil a foothold, right? Because the Bible tells us that. Amen. So and also I have a prayer closet that I go in every morning, and I don't want my prayers hindered in any way. Because you know what? If you're carrying anything like that, that unforgiveness, he's not going to hear your prayer.
Amen.
He's not going to hear it. So my goodness, I got to go and make it right with her anyway. I know I'm going to have to do that. So we make it a point to, not let the sun go down while we're still angry. Sometimes, like when we're in our bed, I'll still have that in me, right? But then I know I have to let it out because I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go down and pray. So I better clean it up. So I'll tell her that I'm sorry, but even in my heart, I'm thinking like, oh man, she's the one that's wrong, but I'm the ones, but I just bite my tongue and just say, I'm sorry, and then we clean it up. And I'm not saying she's the one that's wrong, because I'm thinking she's the one that's wrong, but probably it's me. But we need to do that. We need to clean that up right away, because if you're gonna get before him, you have to be right.
Yeah, so it's a very powerful message about before you even enter in another relationship, in the first, whether it's first or second or whatever, that you have to deal with the things that are emotionally, and you don't know. But for Pastor Jacob, he can hear the Lord's voice because he spends time with God. Spends
Amen.
time with God. When we were talking about, we had a good laugh about this, that when I say, I say emotionally, spiritually, physically, the first one on that list, usually when you get that pitter patter, is physical, right? You have a physical attraction. And so, Jake, what do you tell me about that? Because we had a good laugh on that.
Yeah, I mean,
fleeting.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, when I seen Patty, I was like, wow, first I thought she was married, but when I seen that she was walking down when Ed called us up, that she was single, I said, wow, there's a possibility over here. So yeah, so, and her and I were in the same boat, so I was attracted to her.
Yeah.
Now I know she's available. Okay, now I can get attracted to her.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Pastor Jocelyn, you have to keep it up. For myself, I'm just, I'm looking at it this way. To love someone is part of, your physical appearance. Not only that, but also the way you carry yourself, the way you surprise her. So I like to surprise her. This is how I keep my love going. Is for her is, and for her to keep attraction to me, right? Is I of course I don't forget anniversaries, birthdays, Valentine's days. You cannot forget that. And I try to I try to make surprises. I like to surprise her. So this last time, I bought anyway, she don't like flowers, but so I know not to buy her flowers, but I like to buy her jewelry. And I like to see that on her. So I bought her a nice pearl, because she likes pearls. So I bought her a pearl pendant. So this last time we went, when she when I was on her Christmas break, I already reserved a room in the Halicore. And my plan was, I was going to take her there, and I was going to go to Maui Divers and get pearl earrings to match her pendant.
Wow.
So she doesn't know I'm planning all that. So we go over there to Halicore. We just sit, relax. I buy all kind of poop, stuff for eat, and we sit out on the lanai. I like to be by the ocean, so we can look at the ocean. It's so beautiful. And we just sit out there. She has her beverage, I have mine, and we just pick and just talk, chit chat. And then the next day, she don't know, but I'm gonna take her to Maui Divers. So I said, okay, we're gonna go. Where are we going? Maui Divers. So take her over there, and then she'll pick her Christmas gift, which is like I said, pick one, and she'll pick one for earrings
Mhm.
and to match. So that's how I keep the love burning. And not only that, sometimes like during this pandemic, it was tough, difficult, but I find nice cards that I then I'll write some meaningful stuff and put it out for her.
Mhm.
Candies,
Mm.
stuff like that, just to keep that going. And just to know that make her feel that she's special, because she is special.
Well, you shared with me, you talked to me about, this is a good wrap too. You talked to me about how men, or for you, like women like to talk it, but men like to show it. And I thought that was really very helpful. So you're talking to singles and marrieds, but
Yes.
how you express that. So share that about how men, or how women keep talking and
Yeah.
they kind of turn off already, but it's not that they don't love, it's just that they're doers. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about that. Yeah. So, whenever I come home from work, I always, before I enter my home, I always say peace to this home.
Wow.
And my wife, like she'll come and meet me on the top of the stairs. And, like then I'll come in and we'll, just greet each other. And then I'll come down because, after work, I need to unwind, right? Because there's so much going on, right? And I have to just unwind, just relax, chill out a little bit. And she wants to talk. So she has she wants to share about her day, right? So, I need to like, okay, man, I just want to share this. You don't have the solution. Because every time when she tells me stuff before, I always say, oh, hey, you know what? This is how you handle that. No, all you need to do is zip and just open up your ear and sit there and listen. And even though you're moving all around, just sit there and listen. Sit tight. But
You're
yeah,
like
that's
a
when
kid, right?
so she can talk, because yeah, I always have a solution, like, but guys are different. And I was explaining this to Pastor Joseph. We're like doers. We like to get our hands on things. So, I think I show my love by doing things for her. Like her car. I like to keep it clean for her. You know, you know, I always clean the around the place. Like, when she used to go to school and the hedges, because we have people that take care of our hedges, right? They have maintenance guys. But sometimes they take a long time to come and the hedges start leaning over. Then she got to turn sideways, especially when it rains and she doesn't want to, she carrying her stuff and she doesn't want to get it wet. So what I do, I go out there, I trim them all up, I make it all nice for her. So when she walks, she can go too. So that's the way I like guys, that's what we are. We're doers. So, but sometimes we have to be a listening ear too. So yeah.
Well,
I
you're
don't know if
doing
I
it
answered your
well.
question.
We heard her testimony last week, so you're doing it well because it's working. Amen. It's totally
Yes.
working. And
Yes.
so you spoke on a lot of different things, touched a lot of different areas that is really helpful for those who have to they're starting out or they're looking for, or even in the marriage now they want to improve their communication, their living together, their loving, and knowing what true love is about. And truly, you and Patty are such a delight for all of us to watch. And we
Thank you.
know that you have those conflicts also, but you've learned how to do conflict resolution. Yeah, you've learned how to do that. I think the most important thing is that you have the Lord in your marriage. I mean, without God in your
Amen.
marriage, I don't care what you try to do, it would be impossible to have the kind of
Yes.
marriage that you have with your wife. So you do a blessing to all of us, especially your wife, to pray for all of us, to pray for this topic that we are coming to a close with. Love is forever. It's never going to be closed. All the things that you showed as love to Patty, we learned a lot from it. And thank you for being transparent, open, willing to do this. Yeah. So why don't
Yes.
you close us in prayer?
Yes. So, okay. Father, I pray for all the listeners that, Lord, they'll be able to get something, if not all, just one or two things, Lord, that can help them, Lord, in their marriage, Lord, in their spiritual walk, Lord, with you. And I pray for those that are single, Lord. And I know, Lord, that some of them want to be married, Lord. And Lord, you know already, Lord, their hearts, Lord. I pray that you prepare their spouses for them, Lord, the one that is right for them. And I thank you so much, Lord, that you are moving. When we speak to you, you do answer us. You do hear us, Lord. So thank you for hearing my prayer for all these that are listening. And I bless them. And I thank you for this time in the name of Jesus. Amen.